The vocabulary terms that we need to remember are dividend. Remember, dividend is the number that is being divided up. Divisor is the number that is dividing into the dividend. Quotient is the answer that we'll get to our division problem. And then, of course, decimal represents a number that is part of a whole. So if I had a decimal in the dividend, it might look something like that. If I had a decimal in the divisor, it might look something like that. In this example, I have a decimal in my dividend. When I think about this number, 25.9, I know that's really close to 26. So I can think about what would 26 divided by 4 be? I know it wouldn't quite be 7, it would be a little bit more than 6. So let's look at how we do this division with a decimal. The only thing I need to do is bring this decimal up into my quotient, and that is the first thing that I do. Next, I'm thinking about this number, 25 divided by 4. I know that 4 times 6 is 24, but 4 times 7 is 28, so it must be 6. I'm going to place the 6 right above that 1's digit. Now I'm going to do some multiplication. 6 times 4 is 24, and I'm going to do some subtraction. I'm going to bring down that 9. Now I can think about 4 goes into 19. I'm just going to go ahead and take this decimal away. How many times does 4 go into 19? Remember, I've got this decimal in my quotient. 4 goes into 19 not 5 times, because 5 times 4 is 20, so it must be 4. 4 times 4 is 16. I'm going to subtract, and I can bring down another 0 just to see if I can get this to work out. So now I'm going to do some more division. 4 goes into 37 times. 7 times 4 is 28. And I can see that this is going to work out if I just go one more 0 here. Now I've got 4 goes into 25 times. So the answer is 6 and 475 thousandths. So what this means is 4 goes into 25 and 9/10, almost 6.5 times. One more example here. This one says 91 and 3/10 divided by 5. The first thing I'm going to do is bring my decimal up. 5 goes into 9 one time. Remember, if I can get that division to work in my first digit, then that's what I do. I only move to the second digit if my divisor is too large for that first number. 1 times 5 is 5. I'm going to bring down my 1. 5 goes into 41 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40. I'm going to subtract and bring down. 5 goes into 13. I know it doesn't go 3 times. I'm going to go with 2. 2 times 5 is 10. And then I'll bring down 1 0 because I know this is going to work out nicely. 5 goes into 30 6 times. 91 and 3/10 divided by 5 is a little bit more than 18. 18 and 26 hundredths. This example is a little bit different. In this example, I have a decimal in my divisor. Now, in order to divide with a decimal in my divisor, I have to move that decimal. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this decimal off to the side, which basically means I'm multiplying this number by 10. When I move that decimal, I'm going from 4 7/10 to 47. Moving that decimal implies that I'm multiplying this times 10. Therefore, I'm going to multiply this times 10 too. All I have to do is put 1 0 here. So 259 times 10 is 2,590. So basically, I have a whole new problem. My problem is no longer 259 divided by 4 7/10. Rather, it's 2,590 divided by 47. I can see that I'm going to have to start at my tens place. 47 goes into 259. I'm going to say 5 times, and here's why. I know that 47 is really close to 50, and I can see that 259 would fit 5 50s. Okay, so that is my guess. If I need to revise it, I definitely will. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 3 is 23. I'm going to go ahead and do my subtraction. And I'm going to get rid of this so I don't get confused. All right, I'm going to bring down my 0. Now my problem becomes 47 goes into 240 how many times? All right, so now my problem becomes 240 divided by 47. I already know that 47 times 5 is going to give me 235. So I'm going to go with that. 47 goes into 240 5 times. 47 times 5 is 235. And I'm going to do my subtraction. I get 5. I'm going to leave that as my remainder. I don't have to do anything to my quotient. I don't need a decimal. This is my answer. The answer to 259 divided by 4.7 is 55, remainder 5. Now, remember, this is a little bit confusing because it's like, wait, my remainder is bigger than my dividend. Remember, my dividend became 47. So here we are. All right, one last example. I have a decimal in my dividend. I need to move it. When I move my decimal to the right 2 places, you'll remember this from last year, essentially I'm really multiplying by 100. I need to do the same thing over here, which means I place 2 zeros. This is my new problem. Now I've got 91,300 divided by 75. 75 goes into 91 one time. Be careful where you place that quotient. 1 times 75, and I'm going to do my subtraction. And I'm going to bring down my 3. 75 goes into 163. Now I know 75 times 2 is 150, so it must be 2. Again, subtract and bring down. I like to draw these arrows because I can keep track of what I still need to bring down so that I don't get a quotient that's too small. 75 goes into 130 only one time because I know that 2 times would be 150. So 75, going to subtract. Let's see, we've got 555, and I'm going to bring down that very last 0. So now, how many times, I'm going to have to change my pen color here. How many times does 75 go into 550? Well, let's think about that. It goes in at least 5 times because I know I have 500s, but it's going to go more than that. I think it's going to go at least 6, maybe 7 times if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to go with 7, and if I have to change it, I will change it. Okay, so 7 times 5 is 35. Carry my 3. 7 times 7 is 49, plus 3 is 52. And I have a remainder of 25. My remainder of 25 is less than my divisor, so I can leave that for now as a remainder. My answer to the question, remember my original question was 75 hundredths, 913 divided by 75 hundredths. My answer to that question is 1,217 with a remainder of 25.